Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hi friends, today I'm excited to bring you another recommendations video, and today we are taking on boarding school slash prep school slash elite colleges. I'm kind of looping these all together. Now, I don't read a ton in like the new adult realm anymore, and I feel like that's where a lot of the prep school ones fit into, but I have read some. I have actually read more that are, of course, mafia type colleges, and a few that are like schools. So I have a mix of some of those to talk to you about, but basically if you like the academic setting, that's what we're going to go to with this. And so, yeah, that's where I'm going to go with this one today. Some of these I'm very familiar with because they're some of my favorites, and some of them I've read a while ago, so I don't have as clear of a picture of them, so pardon me for that. But I will have all of these linked down below if you want to check them out in my Amazon links, or if you want to just use that to help add it to your own TBR so you can check them out later. Those links will be down below. So let's go ahead and dive into these, okay? And we are going to start off with a series that I started my year off with this year and has just been so much fun. Like, honestly, I'm surprised by how much I've loved this series, and I love it. I love when an author who I've previously written off can surprise me, and I always want to be a reader who like lets that happen and doesn't just close themselves off to trying again, right? And I've done enough rambling. It is the Legacy of the God series by Rena Kent. So this one actually has kind of like two different like elite college type things going on here. There is the Royal Elite University and there's the King's U College, and it basically has a bunch of mafia and wealthy baddies, their children going to these colleges, okay? So these are also the children of previous worlds of Rena's, so definitely keep that in mind. Now, that's the thing for me. I liked some of her previous books. I have by no means read her extensive backlist, but I have read probably like 6 or 7 of them, and they weren't all my cup of tea. So I pretty much was not interested in starting this series, but I'd seen a few of my friends giving these really high ratings, and so at the beginning of the year, I did this little challenge where I gave authors a second chance, and God of Malice got picked, and I'm so glad that I read it because I was just like so sucked in and I just couldn't stop myself, and now I'm hooked on the series, and book 5 is coming by the end of the year, and it's going to be an MM couple, and I'm so excited. But with this one here, this couple, I'll have to check because all of their names have blended together. There is Glendon, and I believe this one is Killian. And they have a very interesting meeting that starts with what appears to be, and for all intents and purposes is at least a dubious consensual scene. Let's say it is a scene very reminiscent of Untouchable. So if you love Untouchable like me, if you're a fucked up girl like me, there's a lot to come to love about this. Killian is definitely a psychopath, but it's very interesting to me to see because he's a psychopath who's from a very loving home. And that's what I ended up finding interesting about this whole series is how do you still have like the males be very dark and twisty when they come from very loving homes? And believe me, there's still ways that they find to be fucked up. So it definitely works out for that to happen. And one of those ways is just straight up have them be born a psychopath, which can be very interesting. So I really enjoyed through this series how she's made them each twisted and different, and how I come to believe that the heroines will actually be with their heroes. And actually the book in the series that I like the least is the one with the hero who's the most normal, I guess. That one's probably my least favorite, but I absolutely love this series, and it has that forced proximity vibe. It has still some forbiddenness going on as well, and it has that added like thing going on where it's like, you know, this girl Glendon, she could tell her parents at any time what's happening to her and it would end. So there has to be a part of her that's fascinated by what Killian is doing to her, and I really love seeing how that plays out. So really enjoyed this. Very good. Of course, we couldn't do a Mafia College without talking about Kingmakers by Sophie Lark. Here's my OG beautiful, The Heir. This starts off with a friends to lovers, actually, and so we get introduced to Kingmakers Academy through these two that were almost raised as cousins, but they're not, because there's going to be sexy times later, and they are not blood related in any way, but they're raised almost like cousins or siblings, and they both go to Kingmakers at the same time. And so we have Leo, and this one is Leo, and her name just went out of my head, and I should be shamed for it. I should be shamed for forgetting her name. Leo and Anna. I thought it was Anna. There we go. Leo and Anna. And they get to this college, and things are a lot harder for them than they thought they would be. But when you get to this college, you are kind of put into let's say a course of occupation. You're going to be an enforcer, you're going to be an heir, you're going to be a accountant, or you're going to be something else. And so, there definitely are hardcore, like, Harry Potter vibes going on at this place, and that is something that really inspired Sophie when she wrote the series, so there's no surprise there at all. And so as we go throughout the series, we go through different, again, this is like a children of people we've seen before. You're going to find that theme a lot in this video, because it's happening a lot where, like, there'll be a first generation, and then it's like, well, we want our kids to be in forced proximity with each other so we can start making matches. So then there's going to be some kind of college or school that they go to. But obviously, this is some of my favorite Sophie Lark. I love this series so much. I mean, I love all of Sophie Lark so much, so we're used to it by now. But you start off with The Heir here. I do, of course, always suggest that you start with the Brutal Birthright series before you go into this. But there are some people who read this series first, and who am I to judge? I have a specific Sophie Lark order that I like, which I know someone might ask, so here's my video where I talk about the order that I suggest. But at the end of the day, you are an adult, and you can choose where to start if you want. But if you do start Kingmakers, you should read Kingmakers in order, because you should do that. But if you don't start with Brutal Birthright, again, I don't suggest it. But you could start with The Heir and read through if you want, and then maybe you'll be interested in going back to the beginning. Because, again, I've done it before myself. That's why I say I can highly, strongly suggest people do it. But I understand if they don't, because I've done it myself before. All right, moving along, we have a bit of a lighter one, though there are still some mysteries and some naughtiness going on. And if you really loved Gossip Girl, I think this one could be for you, with a little less of the fancy clothes and snooty attitudes. But there is Misfit by Elle Kennedy, and then I think Rogue is the next one. So I've actually read both of these ones. I really like the audiobooks for these. I was sent these by Bloom, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like them, because, again, I'm not too much of the, like, new adult. And this one is for sure more a prep school. They are, like, 18, because I'm kind of like, so they always have to be 18 so that it can still be adult appropriate, but yet we're in high school, so I'm like, just make it a college. You know what I mean? I'm that type of person where it's why this video is difficult for me to make, and I just ended up being like, I'm going to put college age in here, because once you, they always have to be the 18-year-olds, they always have to be this, it just kind of is like, well, then just set your people in a place where they can be older. But anyway, this one involves these two new stepbrothers, and it involves these daughters of the headmaster, and so there's a boys' school and a girls' school, but of course they're nearby, and they end up mingling with each other. A big part of this is that, like, these two girls, their father is the headmaster of the boys' school, and so they actually live near the boys' school. But of course there's all these rules, like, don't mess with the headmaster's daughter, stay out of it, it can be icky and uncomfortable for everyone. And then we have a new bad boy in town who the first romance is between him and the oldest sister, and then the second one is like a friends to lovers between the younger sister and another guy. And I found these ones very enjoyable. Like I said, they were very addicting in the Gossip Girl type of way. And I hope that she's putting out more in this series. I don't know if I haven't seen an announcement for another one, but I'm excited by it. Jen's very excited by it, so I hope that it happens soon. That's what I'll say about it for sure. All right, then there is also the Lancaster Prep series. Now, this is one that I've only read the first one, so I want some encouragement from you guys to continue the series. But to put it in this recommendation list, I wanted to put this one, Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. I read this one a couple years ago now, and I believe that Whit and Summer are the first couple in it. I know that they had a pretty, like, forbidden, like, toxic relationship, the two of them, but I remember having a lot of fun with this series. with this book, but I don't remember a ton more. So again, I would love your encouragement to continue this series, so let me know. Then there's another series that I only read 2 books in the series because this author hasn't always been for me, but I know this is a very beloved series, so I wanted to mention it for you guys. That's what some of these specific trope recs do, is I recommend those ones. So there is A Ruthless Night by A. Jade. And this one had Cole and Sawyer, and I know that the heroine was plus size and she dealt with a lot of bullying, and I know that her and the hero, it's kind of a shock that they would like be together. But yeah, there's Ruthless Night. I know there's like also like Broken Princess and some other ones in this series. Maybe it's not Broken Princess. Is it? I'm not sure. But this is a series by A. Jade. I believe A. Jade like is her new adult name because there's also Ashley Jade. I'm not sure with her how it works, but I know a lot of people love this one. All right, then I want to throw in actually a fan fiction because here's the thing. I would consider Hogwarts a type of prep school. Wouldn't you? I don't know. But we are for the purpose of this video. And one of the fan fictions that I love that takes place at Hogwarts for a good amount of time, because there's a lot of fan fictions that I've read that they're usually like out of school already, or it's post-war, or it's an AU or whatever. But one that I read this year that like takes place at the school is Isolation by Bex Chan, and this one we actually have where Hermione and Draco are forced to stay near each other. Like he shares rooms that are connected with hers, so that Hermione, who has been sent back to Hogwarts to do her 7th year, while Ron and Harry are out hunting for Horcruxes, she wasn't brought with in this scenario. And so Draco, he has like a spell put on him so he can't leave, and Hermione's the one who's kind of having to deal with him day to day. So it really was unfair of her to get the short staff here and be stuck with him because he obviously hates her. But of course, eventually feels start to grow between the two of them, and then sharing a room ends up not being so bad by the end of it, for sure. But this is one I would recommend if you like the very much like enemies to lovers Hermione Draco, which I know a lot of us do. Me too. I'm here for it. So yeah, I highly recommend that one. All right. Then we have Corrupt Educator by Bianca Cole. And now we're entering the era of ones that are student and teacher ones. Okay, so all the other ones I recommended, they are 2 students who are the same age. But now we have 4 recommendations that are student teacher. One of them, kind of, we'll get to the point. So we have Corrupt Educator by Bianca Cole, and this one is again a mafia school, and we have Oakley and Ava. And now Oakley, he gets the job at principal at the school, which again has a lot of mafia kids at it, and he wants to get back at his enemy, and so he plans to seduce his enemy's daughter. So this one might make some of you uncomfortable. I know it also has some daddy kink in it. It made me a little uncomfortable too, but I wanted to put some student teacher ones in here that were like prep school, you know, college area. So yeah, this heroine, Ava, has been sent to this school, and she gets targeted by this teacher, but of course he immediately starts to have more feelings for her than he wants to, and things get very complicated, and we'll have to deal with it as it comes. So yeah, love that one. Then there is one that, this one has more of the spooky vibes, right? And so this one is Gothicana by Runex, which is actually being re-released with a new cover, and I think there's gonna be sprayed edges and everything, so I'll have a link to that if I can get it. But this one is about, I think it's Corvina and Vad. Sorry, I had to write notes for some of these because it's been so long since I read this. I read this one like when it came out, and we've still been patiently waiting for Arcana to come out, which is going to be like a historical version of what's happening in this story, but the authors had a lot of personal life issues coming on, which is very sad. It's sad when that happens, when real life gets in the way of our books, isn't it? It is. But yeah, this one involves a spooky school that our heroine gets asked to come to, and there are some paranormal vibes going on, and there is a moody professor there that she ends up having feels for, and there may be some secrets. Maybe he murdered someone, maybe he's evil, who knows, but we shall see. Then there is Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. Now this one has some other taboo aspects. This is the like headmaster slash head priest at a girls' Catholic school, and we have Tinsley, who is being forced to go to this school and stay there until it's time for her arranged marriage. And Father Magnus Falk is put in charge of keeping her in line. And the thing is, she wants to try to get expelled because her family, her wealthy family, is trying to pressure her into this. And she doesn't want any of it. So she's like, I need to get expelled from this school so I can get out of here. And she's heard that there's one surefire way to get expelled. And it is to come on to the head priest, who, yeah, I mean, he's gorgeous. So who wouldn't want to come onto him anyway? But she discovers that if she does this, he will expel her. So she's like, I'm going to do it. But because Magnus has spoken with her mother, and the mother is like, my daughter is staying here no matter what, he's forced to deal with her in other ways other than expelling her. And that leads to some very sexy sinning times between them. Oh yeah, I love this book so much. This was one of my favorites the year that I read it, and was, to my knowledge, this has been the last Pam Godwin novel that has been released. So we are patiently waiting for her to put out another one, and this was in 2021. So we're waiting for it, okay? Come on, Pam, give us something good. Give us something good. All right, we also have Taming His Teacher by Tamsin Parker, and I love when I get to bring this one up, okay? So this one is the one where I said where it's kind of a student teacher, but it's not really. It does involve an all-boys school, and our heroine is a female teacher there. Now, during the first part of this book, there is some chemistry between her and a student there, but our heroine actually ends up with a different teacher at the school, and they end up married to each other, and it's not good. And when our hero graduates and moves away, he tries to forget about this teacher. But now it's been a few years. I think it's like 5 or 8. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read this one. He's now back, and he's going to be a teacher at the school. So it's actually a teacher-teacher romance. But it starts when, like, there is some very strong feelings brewing, and it's really her feelings for this student that, like, pushes her towards the teacher, because she's like, I shouldn't be having feelings for a student, which, fair enough. In the real world, no, you should not. But in our book world, it leads her down kind of a path of heartbreak when she needs to go for this other guy instead, which is very sad how life turns out. And there is trigger warning for a miscarriage in this one. So it was tough. But I love this one because the taming of his teacher part comes into that. Part of what our young man, Shep, does in the years is that he discovered through some interesting sleuthing that Aaron is actually into BDSM. And when he is away, he actually becomes proficient in BDSM, but he's still a virgin. So he's become a dom who's still a virgin because he's saving himself for Aaron. He always knew that he was going to want her. And it just so happens when he gets back to this school to be a teacher now, she is divorced and single, and he can take his shot. And so I'm just telling you, the pining of this hero, who's a younger man, who, you know, nothing inappropriate really happens when he's still a student, but he knows that this woman is his, and he comes back to get her later. And I love that. I love a dedicated man. And so I love that about Shep. And then an honorable mention, there is the Monarch Academy World by Michelle Hurd. I threw this on just at the last second because I just remembered that I read one of the books that connects. She has a lot of books that connect to Monarch Academy, which is, again, another mafia school that is like teaching the mafia children how to become who they're going to be. This one's more of a college age, and it involves a neutral ground in Switzerland. So whenever their kids are there, it's a neutral ground. There can't be any fighting that happens, or else all of the mafia will like turn on you. This involves kids from previous series that she has, as well as some new characters. So there wasn't just a specific one to point to. One that I recently read that was kind of a student teacher, although he's just a guest teacher. He's teaching some of the combat classes. I read this one. I forgot the name. But then again, like, pretty much in all the books I've read by Michelle Hurd that are in this same world, Monarch Academy, we hear it spoken of at some point because it's a safe place that sometimes they'll also house people, women and children who are in danger, because St. Monarch's is safe. So there we go. I hope you found some that you like. This was difficult for me to scrape some of these together, but I ended up finding more than I thought. So let me know your favorite books that are prep school, college, Mafia College, any of those. I already can think of some that I forgot. One example I will throw up, like The Coven is like a witch school. So those are some that I didn't get to as well. But let me know some of your favorites. And again, I have links to all the books that I mentioned down below. For Isolation, I will have the link to the AO3 where you can read it for free. This is my beautiful copy that was bound by Mel Bynes Fix. So thank you so much, Mel. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video, friends. Bye-bye.